ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री सरस्वताय नमः। ओम श्री गुरु दत्तात्रेय नमः। ओम श्री महालक्ष्मी नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः। गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः. So we'll be continuing the Eknathi Bhagavad, chapter 2, verse 43 and sub-verse 619 onwards. O king, in this way, when he devotes himself to God Achyuta, he develops the devotion, dislike about worldly things, and realization of God. And then he achieves the actual peace beyond everything, the supreme peace. So what is the last thing we stopped was where Kavi was saying. So what did Kavi finally say to King Janaka? He said that. So he said, that is, he talked about how the most important things have to be together, and one of the most important thing is the desirelessness. And then what did he say? He said, thus in the mind of the devotee, when there is real faith, the faith in the, that is in the Lord or the Guru, has to be absolute. There should not even be an iota of doubt. These three things come into being as three in one. What are the three things? He talked about that the most important thing is devotion, desirelessness, and self-realization. All the three things come together when he has real faith. We are not talking about 99.99% faith. We are talking about real, absolute 100%. There is no doubt whatsoever. That is the kind of faith. And then when there is real faith, these three things come into being as three in one. So what is he saying? Therefore, O king, devotion to Hari is essential for our own emancipation. So that is where we ended. And what did Kavi say? Kavi, the sage, said this finally. So that's what he taught King Janaka. Now, the next thing he's teaching is, O king, in this way, when he devotes himself to God Achyuta. So in this way, when you are a devotee of Lord Shri Krishna Bhagwan, he develops the devotion, dislike about worldly things, and realization of God. And then he achieves the actual peace beyond everything, the supreme peace. So what does it mean? The three things, when it comes together, then you actually get the supreme peace, which is beyond everything else. Beyond the material world, we say, no, I wish I had some peace. That beyond that peace is a supreme peace, and that is what you will be able to achieve. So let us understand in detail. Thus, those who have love towards all the beings in the world attain the devotion to God, dislike for possessing all worldly objects, and also have attainment of unity with God without any hardships. This is very beautiful. What is he saying? Those who have love towards all beings in the world attain the devotion to God. See, one of the biggest challenge today in our world is we don't like everybody or everything in this world. We have our differences. We always are swaying between the pairs of opposites. I like this, I don't like this. But to like everything and everybody is a foundation, the very essential of being able to attain devotion to God. How do you do that? Very simple. You have to first, if you're a mother, you have to also feel not only nice about your child or good things about your child, but you have to also feel about the same thing about his friend, somebody else's child. This is a very basic thing, just the motherly love I'm taking for an example. Now if you can't feel that, then you are very self-centered. Now this is what he's saying. He's saying you should be able to see God in everybody. See Krishna Bhagwan in everything. Why are you only bothered about my son has to win, my son has to come first, my son has to become smarter? My Guruji will always say this, what you do, what you want to do for you, also do for others. So it's not about only your parents. You have to think about everybody else's parents. You have to think about everybody else's children. You have to think about the world. You know why? Because this entire manifestation has come from whom? It is the Lord's manifestation. This entire creation has emanated from the divine Lord Almighty. And there is that Paramatman, the Spirit is in everybody. So when we serve the world, we are serving Krishna Bhagwan, Krishna Paramatman. That Atman is in everything, and that is, this entire creation is the Atman itself. So when that is the case, you are serving a bigger purpose. You are serving Krishna Bhagwan. And when you serve Krishna Bhagwan, what happens? Then your love, the peace grows because you're not self-centered. That is what Krishna Bhagwan wants. And then you develop the devotion. It is very simple. But today we have gone off the path. What does Bhagavata mean? The way of life. Don't forget this. We have learned this very beautifully in chapter 1. And who's explaining? Eknath Maharaj. Who's Eknath Maharaj? Krishna Bhagwan himself. He's an avatar of Panduranga. And who's Janardhan Swami? That is his Gurudev. And who's Janardhan Swami? Lord Dattatreya. So Krishna Bhagwan is still explaining, right? And what is the scripture we are doing? Uddhav Gita, the last message of Sri Krishna Bhagwan to Uddhava. So we should not forget this foundation of what we are learning and why Krishna Bhagwan is time and again saying the same thing. Because you have to get out from the I, me, myself. What I have been saying. We have forgotten our natural state. We have forgotten our real nature. Our real nature is full of love, full of goodness. Our natural state is that. But what have we become? We have become unnatural by becoming self-centered, mean. You know the 6 enemies of humankind. Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Mada, Matsaryam. Don't forget. This is why we have completely gone off the path. But our natural state is to be full of love, full of goodness. That's who we are. So don't forget who you truly are. And that when you practice, you will be able to attain devotion to Krishna Bhagwan. That's what he's saying. So those who have love towards all beings in the world attain the devotion to God. Dislike for possessing all worldly objects. The things that you're running about, it's so futile. You know, you want to run after your job, money, things, desire, petty desires of yours. You're running behind the fulfillment of those objects. So don't run after them. It is worthless, let me tell you. There is nothing you're going to get. The moment you get something, it actually converts itself into a misery. Let me tell you this. So what comes to you with the grace of the Divine Lord is very beautiful. That will not have any misery. Very simple example. My Guruji was, telling somebody, one of his disciples, he said, right now don't buy the house. Because that house which you're going to get now will have a lot of, miseries attached to it. Very simple. See, he knows everybody's past, present and the future. And when anything is sought after with a desire, that has a lot of sins, karma and lot of things which a human being doesn't understand. But that desire is making you, is driving you to get that, whatever that object is. And so my Guruji said, can you just hold on? When the time is right, you buy. Right now is not the right time. But the person goes against and buys. Then what happens? Then the destiny takes over. And one doesn't understand what is there in their destiny. Now, when the destiny takes over, there will be a lot of challenges that comes about in the person's life. And what that is, we don't understand. But if we listen to the words of the Guru, see, understand, he is Krishna Bhagwan. He has the power to override your destiny. Now, if you do not listen, you're going to go through that sufferings, because what you forget is that Krishna Bhagwan himself will not interfere in the workings of this framework. How the destiny is being programmed, that is the rules and regulation, the framework is already defined. He will never interfere in that. But if you're his devotee, he will always be able to override, provided, I'm telling you, this is with a disclaimer, provided you follow his instructions, your destiny will be rewritten. But this one thing nobody understands. So what can the Guru do? The Guru cannot do. What can he do? He can only cushion the impact. If the impact is now 100%, he will cushion it to some level. Maybe 20-30% will be cushioned. Yet you will still have to go through that 70% of your misery and suffering, whatever that is connected to that desire. So why do you want to go through that misery? We should be very contented with what we have. This one thing human beings have forgotten to understand. Life is so beautiful if you follow whatever the teachings and how your Guru instructs you to live in this world. That is called the Bhagavata way of life. Bhagavata Dharma means the way of life, which we have forgotten. Then dislike for possessing all worldly objects, and also have attainment of unity with God without any hardships. See, this is so beautiful. What is he saying here? And also have attainment of unity with God. When you do these things, when you give up these desires for objects, the worldly possessions, when you give up, running after this material worldly wants, and then thinking about I, me, myself, and when you give up that, then you attain the unity with the divine Lord without any hardships. You don't even have to sweat. It so naturally will happen through you, because you will always feel that oneness. That love will, it'll open up within, it'll blossom in your heart. Because who's living in your heart? Krishna Bhagavan, the Paramatman. And then you will have that oneness, that yoga, union with the divine Lord. That is what you will be able to achieve without any hardships. O king, the devotion to God is a good kind of eye solution. The good devotee puts it in his eyes, and by the yoga of devotion possesses the rare treasure of God's presence. How beautiful it is. What is he saying? O king, who is he talking to? King Janaka. The devotion to God is a good kind of eye solution. So it's like you're putting, if you were not able to see clearly, right? Something has gone in your eye. So you're putting some medicine. So then once you put that medicine, then what happens? The good devotee puts it in his eyes, and by the yoga of devotion. So when you put that in your eyes, you're able to see things clearly. And by the yoga of devotion means what? Union with the divine Lord in bhakti. There is no other sadhana. You don't have to do meditation. You're not even going to do this bodily, exercise, which is called yogasana. So we're not talking that yogasanas. Yoga means union with the divine Lord in devotion. When you're in bhakti, your heart, your mind, that is your mind, your heart, everything is one in oneness with the divine Lord. And then what happens? You become a tool in his hands. He runs your life. You don't even have to bother what is going to happen tomorrow. What has to come to you will naturally come to you without even you opening your mouth. Just that, okay, I need to go tomorrow somewhere, something has to be done. Very naturally, that object will appear in front of you, effortlessly. This is the truth. You don't have to sweat yourself. You just have to be in this devotion, in oneness. Things will work magic in your life. That is what he's saying. And by the yoga of devotion, possesses the rare treasure of God's presence. And you can experience God at any given point in time, no matter where you go. He's always with you in everything, in everywhere. That's so beautiful. That is, this is something used to happen to me. So when I moved to Singapore way back in time, after coming to my Guruji, I used to miss him a lot. And the day one, when I was going to work, and I was thinking to myself, oh, I miss you so much. I really miss you. What am I doing here? What is all this I'm doing? Just the thought, there was a car, and behind there, it's written everywhere with you. So the message, how beautifully he's conveying that he's always with me. I just have to witness him. I just have to call out to him. He's always with me, everywhere, in everything, within me, around me, everywhere. Because everything is him alone. So you need to practice to see him in everything. I would have conversations, people would think sometimes I'm mad. I'm looking at the sky and I'm just having a conversation. Many a time I will not openly, talk, but it's just I'm talking to someone constantly. And there is a response. The universe will respond. It will show exactly what you're asking, and there is a response, which is a proof that he is always with you, provided you have that level of devotion. That's all is required. You might be in any part of the world. His presence is very much felt within you, with you, around you, no matter what. You don't have to feel, oh, I am alone. There is nothing like alone. You are with him. He's the only one who belongs to you. No other material relationship is yours. Only Krishna Bhagavan is your best friend and a true friend. Understand this. So you have to always seek him in everything, and he's going to respond to you. This is my guarantee. But you have to seek him from your heart with that devotion. Then, by loving God as one with one own Atman, we get extreme peace of the soul, and false things drop away, and devotees gain the bliss of Brahman in the state of their unity with God. This is a very important thing is mentioned. What is he mentioned here? He's saying by loving God, when you love God as one with own Atman, it's your own Atman, you're loving God, okay? First is with your own Atman, and then we get extreme peace of the soul. You feel okay, I'm just calm. I'm very happy. It's not a state of happiness, but you're very, peaceful within. You're not thinking, oh, I need to become some CEO, I need to do this. You're not thinking about all of that. You're just sleepwalking your life, okay? And everything is, you're on an autopilot. Everything is happening in your world. You're not stressing yourself. When you will be out of that autopilot, when you go off the sync with the divine Lord. When you constantly think of Krishna Bhagwan, please understand, your body is just like a robot, it's moving automatically. You're not doing things which is like you're putting your mind and you find it hard to do it. When that state comes, you should understand you've gone off the sync with him. So you have to constantly call out to him. You have to be in sync with him. Then what happens? You're on an autopilot. You are like that AI, the robot, which is already programmed, and you're just going with a flow in your life. Everything is happening seamlessly, effortlessly. The moment you put your mind is when you feel stressed out. You feel overwhelmed. You feel, oh, how can I do this? How can I do that? I don't know what's happening, because the mind has taken over. The mind is acting at that moment in time. That sync, the tuning is gone. So that is why you have to always keep in that connect. That is very important. And then what happened? We get the extreme peace of the soul, and false things drop away. This is very important. What drops away? False things. See, things which we thought is our, many a times you think you have a best friend, you have people around. See, those who are fake and those who are, detrimental to your growth, automatically all these false things. It could be things, that is, three things are there: people, places, and things. All of this can drop off you. So the false things drops off automatically. What is right for you is all that you will get. And only what is good for you, those things will be around you. That is how the grace works. That is the power of your guru. That's the power of the God. When you are his devotee and a disciple, this is what happens. Automatically, all the false things drop off. And devotees gain the bliss of the Brahman in the state of their unity with God. So what happens? You are in the Sachidanand. Anand is what you get. You're all the time in Anand, in the state of Anand, in the state of their unity with God. So you are in oneness. Just the word Krishna Bhagwan, it's just this magic. Something happens in your heart. It is indescribable. You can't even speak with words. How do you describe the Anand within you? God, Krishna is to each his own. Have you seen that Ras Leela? Every gopi has Krishna Bhagwan to her own self. So similarly, you are, union with the divine Lord. God is to each his own. You have your Krishna Bhagwan within you. There is a romance going on. Whatever that you want to call. It's a very beautiful kind of a love. How you experience God within yourself. It's your oneness. It is solely yours. So you have to feel that Anand. That is the blissful state within. Then, blessed are God's devotees. They are functioning among their senses but are apathetic about the sense objects. They are in the body, but their consciousness is beyond the body, and they live in freedom by the power of their devotion to Hari. How beautiful. What is he saying here? He's saying, blessed are God's devotees. When you are the devotee of God, you're blessed. You don't know what kind of a blessing you have. They are functioning among their senses, but are apathetic about sense objects. This is a very important lesson. Means what? Your senses are performing. You're eating, you're sleeping, you're doing things in your world. You might be going for shopping, everything. But you're apathetic, towards the sense objects. You are not enjoying those objects of senses. Like, in Krishna Bhagwan says, the gunas are performing in the gunas. But they are not doing anything. This is the truth. So likewise, you might be cooking, you might be, doing whatever chores, you're working, you're going out, you're eating, you're sleeping, you're doing all sorts of things using your senses, but are apathetic towards the sense objects. You're not attached to that. You're not really enjoying that. Before coming into spirituality or before being the devotee, you must be enjoying. But understand, as you evolve on the path, this is what happens. That same object, the sense object, which used to be appealing to you the most, you will feel disgusted about it. Apathetic attitude comes in because you understand the futility of life. There is nothing in that sense objects. You must have been wanting, a big house. Do you know the house that we think we have to own, which is the societal created norms, which we follow very blindly? It's the biggest misery. The things that you might have aspired, oh, I want to become a CEO of a company. Those were my aspirations as well as a body many years ago. Those were my ambitions. But then when you understand the truth, all that is futile, that's fake. There's nothing in that. There is no truth in any of those things because all that is Maya. It's very transient. It's only there for a temporary period of time in life. But the truth and that which is eternal is the supreme divine consciousness. That is Krishna Bhagavan alone. And that which you attain, that supreme bliss within, is the ultimate achievement of your life. There is nothing else beyond that. There is nothing which you can get with in the material world. And everything is only momentary. Understand, the same thing which you think is the sense, the object of enjoyment, will become the object of misery very soon. Because every sense object has a misery attached to it. So don't run after things, people, places and things. Give up. Have this apathetic attitude which automatically comes as you evolve in devotion to Krishna Bhagavan. That is what he does. Then they are in the body, but their consciousness is beyond the body. And they live in freedom by the power of their devotion to Hari. Simple. They are in the body, but their consciousness is beyond the body. You have, overcome this attachment to the body. How will you be able to do this? When you evolve in devotion, not before that. As you evolve in devotion, that attachment to the body, the consciousness of body, this I am this body, I am this body, will go away eventually. But their consciousness is beyond the body and they live in freedom by the power of their devotion to Hari. What is this freedom? You know what's the freedom? Freedom, the most important freedom from fear. Fear of what? In your life, you will be, say, if you're at work, you will be wondering, oh, I don't know what's going to happen. I need to submit. I don't know about my job. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm so nervous, You are always wondering what's going to happen. Oh, I have to pay this so much of EMI. I have a loan, all these things. None of these things will bother. You'll just say, what has to be will be. My God is going to take care of me. You will just do your job alone. You're not going to be bothering about the end result. You understand that everything is happening in your world, you're sleepwalking. Then there is no question of you having this fear, the anxiety, the stress that you go through. You have already surrendered your life at the lotus feet of Krishna Bhagavan. What he has to do, he will do for me. What he has to give, he will give. Why am I bothered? If there is a loan, there is a loan. It will be taken care. My job is only to do my job. I am not bothered about it. I'm not bothered about the end result. Similarly, if Krishna Bhagavan wants his temple to be built, he will get it done. When, where, how, why? Yeah, why has the construction of the temple not happening? Why has it stopped? I don't have an answer. He knows it is his temple. He is the one who is going to be wanting to build that, right? That is his job. I am only an instrument in his hands. That's the greatest freedom. Then you are not worried about what people talk. See, the world is going to talk. Everybody is going to ask. Whenever I go to the village, they'll ask me, when are you resuming the construction? When is this temple coming about? Am I going to get upset about it? No. I'll say, yeah. What is my answer? When Krishna Bhagavan wants to get it done, he will get it done. Why am I have to worry? Okay. Most important thing that a devotee and disciple needs to have, Shraddha and Saburi. Means what? Faith and patience. Lot of patience is required. And this patience is very, very important for us to evolve. Things are not going to work in the way you think it has to happen. It's the way how God has already programmed it. And everything happens at the God's appointed timing. This is a very important thing which you need to understand, and we tend to forget this. We want it just now. It all has to happen now in our world. It doesn't work like that. So that's the freedom you get. You're not anxious about things. You're just letting it be. And you just do what is required at your end, and you've surrendered everything to the divine Lord. And that's the greatest freedom. And then there is nothing to be afraid of. Whether someone says something or doesn't say something, it doesn't matter to you. And you're not even carrying the thought inside of you. That's the freedom. It doesn't affect you at all. It doesn't touch. Then how do you become? You become like Krishna Bhagavan. How is he represented? The water untouched on the lotus leaf. That is how you live. You're very happy within yourself. You'll see the world and understand, oh my God, all these people are such a fools, running up. They're living in the Maya, in the world of misery, and still not seeing anything in the world. It's so worthless because you are now on the other side. You will slowly start understanding Maya. Then this, okay, in the fever of devotion, they have no desire for liberation. Even then, all the four kinds of freedom are pliant at their feet. This is very beautiful. What does it mean? In the fever means you have this fever of devotion. That means that's the level of your devotion. You have no desire for liberation. You don't want liberation because you constantly want to come back and be his devotee. Krishna Bhagwan's devotee don't ask for liberation at all. Liberation means what? You get dissolved. You don't want to get dissolved. You want to come back with him. We just want to enjoy a life. He comes with his entourage all the time. And then what? We are just performing a leela. And every time you want to meet and you want to enjoy, you want to go through the learning process. You might say it's a misery. Oh, I don't want to be born. But that's the beauty. It's a play acting. You're just, you have a character. Do you know, we in school, we do dramas or you perform plays. Say we enact like I am Krishna and you're Radha. All those kind of plays you must have performed. So understand, you're playing a character in that. So whatever is your character, you're just play acting. So be the best player, best actor. Play to the hilt. If your role is villain, be the best villain. That is what you have to be. And this is something we forget. One of my Guruji's devotees, many years ago, I was talking to him and I was saying, everybody, I'm a biggest villain, I'm made into a biggest villain. And I was just having this conversation. So he's saying, Raj, he used to call me Raj. And he said, it's okay, you have to be the best villain. If that's how people look at you, be that. No, let them think about you like that. So play your character to the hilt. And that was something very beautiful. I didn't understand until I looked at it from a very different perspective. So I used to feel, why are everybody calling me like this? I am not this. So my attachment to the body, I am not to be viewed like this, is what something I let go. You can view me whichever way you want. That's fine. It doesn't matter. I've been given a role to play and I have to be the best. If that role is a villainous role, I have to be the best villain. So, I always tell my Guruji, you are the one who's written all the story. You are the director, you are the writer, you are this, you're the whatever choreographer. You are everything and you write your own character and you come and play role of hero also. How beautiful is that? And yet, that's all this is such a it's like a movie. And we are playing and we are enacting and then we are done and we go back. How sweet is that? But what happens is when you forget that it's just a role that you are enacting and you get lost in that character, that is the problem that happens. Then you identify yourself with that character or the body and you believe you are that. You are not that. You're just enacting a role. This is something, remember always. Don't get carried away. So what's it saying? So in the fever of devotion, there is no desire for liberation. Even then, all the four kinds of freedom are at their feet. The four kinds of freedom are at your feet. Let us understand what are these four kinds of freedom. This peculiarity of the devotee of God is beyond comparison. They are already on the highest level of Paramatman by their one-pointed devotion to the Supreme Person. Who's the Supreme Person? Krishna Bhagwan. So what is he saying? This peculiarity of the devotee of God is beyond comparison. You can't compare a devotee of the God. See, because when you are in devotion, Krishna Bhagwan loves his devotees so much that he is willing to do anything for them. And this is something we don't understand. We take it very lightly. You have to grow in devotion, but growing in devotion means three things has to be followed. One is you have to have faith, become desireless, and then the devotion will rise. Give up this attachment to everything that you think and see God in everything. His teaching has to be imbibed. And then what happens? So you are very peculiar, okay? Because you're beyond comparison. Then they are already on the highest level of Paramatman. But just that we don't know. You know why? We are covered with ignorance. So what is knowledge doing? It's uncovering you. The layers of ignorance is uncovered. Then so they are already on the highest level of Paramatman by their one-pointed devotion to Supreme Person. What does Krishna Bhagavan say? Single-pointed devotion. You know how easy it is to attain him? Four things. Number one, absolute faith. Number 2, complete surrender. Number 3, unconditional pure love. Number 4, exclusive devotion. That's all you need to have. Magic happens. But why is these 4 things you're not able to live? Because you think something is going to happen in your world, somebody is going to say something. You're giving importance to the world. Understand, the world around you is Maya. That is unreal. This is where your test lies. Understand, people, places and things. These 3 things, if you can override, then it's so easy. Magic happens. Next, the king Janaka. The king Janaka was pleasantly surprised when he heard about the supremely one-pointed devotion and the realization of God by the devotees. Who is surprised? King Janaka. He's a enlightened being, and he was surprised by the single-pointed devotion. Why did he was surprised? Let us understand. He uttered appreciatory expressions about the devotion and prostrated before Kavi the sage. See, bhakti is the way, and Krishna Bhagavan only loves his devotees. What does he says? Of all the kind of people, the devotees who come to me, the highest is the one, my devotees. I mean, all the methods people follow to worship him, the highest are the devotees. Only through bhakti can you achieve Krishna Bhagavan. Nothing else is the highest in this world. Devotion to God is the highest. Guru Bhakti, Guru Seva. And who's the Guru? The Parabrahman. Krishna Bhagavan himself is the Guru. So, he uttered appreciatory expressions about the devotion and prostrated before Kavi the sage. He could not control his emotions and sobbed out of joy. See, this is the sign of a bhakt. The moment they understand, something opens up in their heart, tears will flow, they will cry out. The first expression is to cry. What happened to Janaka? He started crying, he sobbed in emotion to this with the sage what Kavi said. That trigger, the point, it's a heart. You have to open up. That layer has to be uncovered. Till that doesn't happen, you can't find this emotion coming out of you. Then he could not control his emotions and sobbed out of joy. His eyes were full of tears and he shivered by his romantic devotional feelings. He's very beautifully explaining. What is Eknath Maharaj saying? Romantic devotional feelings. Any song that you listen, you still be in romance. You'll think about Krishna Bhagavan and you. You will attribute every love songs to in bhakti. Those words will become love, the words of your expression in devotion to your God. You will want to express whatever you want to in different forms to him. Words, the poetry will flow through your mouth. You will be able to write some very sweet things. Those magic happens. But first you have to open up. And that comes with self-effort initially. And then with the grace of the Guru, that path gets opened up. Till then, you have to put your effort. It is called self-effort. The effort is very important. I think we did the same lesson this morning in Tripura Rahasyam as well. The self-effort, the self is within, and it is seeing how much effort are you putting in for the grace to flow. So as is your efforts, so are your experiences. Till the effort doesn't grow, you will not experience those things. So effort is a must. The first step towards attaining anything is self-effort. Then he sweated, his body began trembling, became still for some time, but came to consciousness after a while, because he feared that the sage may suddenly leave the royal Yajna Mandap, etc. When he opened his eyes, he saw that all were seated as before and was reassured in his mind. So what happened? He's saying his body is sweating. So different kinds of expression happens. So when your devotion is to that highest, lot of things happen. You will feel horripilation, you're shivering, you're crying, you don't have words to express, you don't know what's going on. So same expressions happened to King Janaka as well. You were sweating, and then his body began trembling as well. Became still for some time, but came to consciousness after a while, because he feared that the sage may suddenly leave the royal Yajna Mandap, etc. So he might go away. So he was like, I need to come back to senses. When he opened his eyes, he saw that all were seated as before and was reassured in his mind. He began to sway his body in joy and then thought, let me ask here about the signs of those who have attained the self-realization. So now King Janaka wants to understand what are the signs of those who have attained self-realization. That is what he wants to know. He wants to understand how do they behave, how do they talk. I think that's what we are going to learn in the next verse. So this is something I hope you remember. Even Arjuna was asking, right? In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna Bhagavan taught what is the signs, what are the marks of a devotees, what are the marks of a wise man. We need to understand how do they behave, how do they sit, how do they stand, what do they eat, how do they talk. All that is going to be explained, and for us to understand what happens. So we have now come to the end of the verse. That is verse 43, that is chapter 2, verse 43, and sub-verse 629. We will stop here and continue from tomorrow with verse 44 onwards. And we will understand what are the signs and marks so that we also evolve on our devotional path to Sri Krishna Bhagavan. With that, thank you for joining Sri Eknathi Bhagavad Satsang. Have a good day and good evening to you all. God bless.